My name is Sharesa Price, and I live in Lake County, and I have a brain tumor. I have the residuals of a brain tumor that was caused from overexposure to microwave radiation and high and low radio frequencies. I worked in an environment that I was not told of the hazards that the equipment influence might have on my body. And I worked for almost 2.5 years as a manager of advanced communication systems in Lake County, where I was in charge of handling all of the two-way radios, which are the ones like the officers and our fire departments and all use for emergencies and for their communications, which run on a completely different frequency than the cell phones do. The cell phones run on a microwave energy, and I had to train myself on how to do the job that I was in charge of. And the cell phones were something back in 1996, were very different than the phones that we have today. And I had to learn from my mistakes, and the mistakes cost me my job, my health, and my future. And I am embarrassed to say that due to the fact that I did not have any information from my employer or the industry on how to use a cell phone correctly, I thought the radiation was coming from the lit up keypad. This is back almost 10 years ago now, that the phones had a much stronger power that was emitted from them. So in my thinking that the cell phone the radiation was coming from the keypad, I was kicking it out like this because I didn't want that radiation up against my face. I was placing the antenna directly onto my head. And I had developed a brain tumor in 2.5 years from putting that cell phone directly up to my head every day. Until one day, February 17th of 1999, I came into work after being very, very sick, after doing the largest amount of cell phones ever in the company that I worked for. I came in within about 45 minutes, the headache started, the pulsating headache I had, my nausea came about. I was arcing sparks from my body from the influence I had from the mismatched equipment inside my place of employment. And I was so sick that I had to walk off my job and seek medical help. And I was thinking that I was going to be able to get some antibiotics for a sinus infection because of the way that it felt. I felt like I had a sinus infection. But the doctor told me, he says, "I'm sorry, I cannot give you any antibiotics because you do not have an infection." And I said, "Well, doctor, I'm not going anywhere." I said, "Something is seriously wrong." And he says, okay, he knows me well enough that I wouldn't have said that unless I had purpose for it. And he ordered up a CT scan, sent me over to the hospital, and I went home. And as I was walking up the steps to the house, I get a telephone call, and it is the nurse from my doctor's office. Says, "Honey, doctor needs to talk to you." And the doctor came on, and he says, "Honey, sometimes one thing will lead us to another." And he says, you have a brain tumor. And I melted. But I didn't know that back in 2.5 years before that, I had a brain scan that was negative, 0, no tumor. So that tumor came about in that time period from having that first CT scan until the second one. And so that was the last day I ever worked. And I had a company phone. And as I was getting scheduled for my brain surgery and stuff at UCSF in San Francisco, I received a call from my employer. He says, "I'm sorry, but we've had to cut off the service to your phone." So now I have no phone, which I had come to think that, for emergency purposes, that that's what they came into the world, I thought, for, to be there if you needed to talk to somebody or if you needed help. So that kind of struck me as a little odd that my employer would do that. So I went and I had brain surgery, which is a horrific thing. To even think that, one can open up your skull and remove a brain tumor. Today, it's unbelievable, but we can do that now. But my problem with my brain tumor, it was on my main vein. So the residual of my tumor is still there. And I have a risk factor of radiation to the head and stress. These are two things that can stimulate the growth of my tumor. So I don't use no cell phone. I don't even hang out with them because I have the knowledge, because I've done the science and the research and all to find out what is this all about? Why has there been an issue about health effects in cell phones? And in the 10 years, next year will be my 10 years of being a survivor of this type of cancer. And I was a guinea pig, and I feel like we're all being guinea pigs on this issue. But I was a guinea pig for gamma knife radiation, which I had a choice between 6 weeks of radiation on low doses, or I could take a one-time shot of gamma rays to knock out and kill the rest of the tumor. So I decided that I would probably do better for my exposure that I've already had to take that one-time shot of gamma. And I did. And my tumor at this time, I am happy to say, it is not growing. And if it has grown, it is a very minute little measurement. But I am monitored every 6 to 12 months. And I believe in divine purpose. Every one of us come into this world with a job to do and a gift to bring. And I really believe that this is my divine purpose in the world, is to be here. And when people stand up to the cellular industry, it's a wonderful technology and it has this place in the world, but we need to educate the end user. The cell tower is one part of it, but the end user, the people that are using the cell phones, they are very high risk if they do not educate themselves on this matter. This is, to me, I believe that this is the most important issue that we have in our existence in life today, because there's so many things that are involved with it. And the thing that I want to tell you is you are strong, you're educated, you're young. And I didn't want this to be something that what Sharesa Price has to say. I wanted to bring you more research. I wanted to bring to you what our legislators and our politicians are, what they have knowledge of. But they also have the fear of lawsuits from this industry. And that's what you're probably going to be up next to. If they go ahead and appeal the commissioner's decision on having that tower placed there, they can put it there. They will challenge you. They will cost you a lot of money. They will run you through the mill. It can be a very expensive journey to go and fight a tower. But I tell you what breaks down rock cliffs is a little tiny root. Little tiny things. A rock can take down a giant. There's little tiny powers that we have as people that we forget. We get detached from the fact that we have a voice, that we have a mind, and that we have choices that we can make what are healthy for us, and what we do want and what we don't want. But then there's that whole awakening, because everybody is assuming that this is a safe product at the end use and a safe power at the tower. These are things that need to be investigated, and you guys have